This week's scenario is Incursion from the 2016 Steamroller packet. This scenario does not have the Killbox Artifice in effect and consists of 3 flags. The flags can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 1 CP. Victory conditions consist of 5 control points or caster assassination.
Hey everybody, PolarBearCub here. So for my Cygnar list, I wanted to try out Seige. This is just a couple hours after Mark III was released in Lock and Load. I really wanted to see what a heavy gunline list would do. Cygnar dealing with scenario play. So that's my list.
Hello everyone, this is Gaston, and today we're playing at Lock and Load. Actually, it was when this was recorded. So this is my first Carver list for the new edition. Trying out a few things. It's very Warbeast heavy, and hopefully it'll do some good work.
Alright, so for my deployment, pretty much what I'm doing is I'm putting the 2 defenders in Triumph right towards the center. Going to be putting Dynamo and Jakes over on the left hand side, Gun Mages on the right hand side. Gun Mages are going to be there. They're going to be using a lot of Thunderbolt to try to push people out of scenario play. And then, yep, that's really it. Siege is behind, same with Reinholdt.
So man, I don't even know when we started recording this. It must have been like 4 in the morning, maybe 6 in the morning. So if we get any rules wrong on this, oh well. This is a list that I had built using the spoiler cards. So I had come to Lock and Load kind of with this prepared. It's not necessarily an optimal list, it's kind of one that I made out of what I had painted in time for the convention. So that's, you know, just kind of a normal deployment, everything set up, you know, symmetrically around Carver.
Alright, so with this turn, really with this army, my whole goal is to move up the army and start shooting. I want to start removing models as soon as possible. So obviously with this turn, things are going to be running up. With power up, I think it makes a huge advantage to this entire army on what they can do. Really just the entire faction. So it kind of gives way to allow to see, hey, what can you do with 2 defenders, Triumph, Siege, and all that stuff. One thing with the list design, I've noticed almost instantly that I really wanted the Squire instead of Reinholdt. Really losing 2 inches worth of control area, I didn't think at the time would be that big of a difference, but I think the extra 2 inches is extremely more valuable than having the extra shot with Reinholdt, especially with Siege now in Mark III.
So the concept when I originally built this list was to split the beasts up into 2 kind of, not really battle groups, but 2 strike forces, where I have the heavies and their melee potential with Carver's feet, supported by that Battle Boar. And then I have kind of the ranged module, which is a couple gun boars. They're supported by Splatter Boar and Targ, so they can put down some firepower on my opponent. And then backing up that ranged potential, you've got the 2 Efaarit and Alten Ashley, which is kind of what we term Spirit Slayers, given that they can knock out the Spirit of Warbeast, and at least pre-errata, hopefully that doesn't change for me, Alten Ashley has grievous wounds on his gun, so they cannot heal. And that actually, currently, at least at the time of this voiceover, applies to repair checks on warjacks as well. So it's kind of nice that 2 Efaarit should statistically knock out like the gun on a defender, because you can pick the columns, and they, just the way the math works with the armor piercing. So, obviously the start of this new edition, there's been a lot of talk about gun lines, and in order to play into it, that's kind of why I had chosen Carver, where I wanted to be able to cast Batten Down the Hatches, in order to, you know, get all of my armor up. You know, all the light beasts will be armor 20, all the heavies will be armor 21, and that's quite a brick to try to chew through. Otherwise, he's also got the feet for the additional damage, he's got mobility to fix the speed, and it may not seem like it, but going from speed 4 to speed 5 and getting that 1 inch reach on the Warhogs is significant. That is a huge boost.
Alright, so first thing I'm going to look at with this activation is that Triumph gets an out of turn shot. So I'm going to take it on that the closest Roadhog, because I want to start getting those, at least 1 beast removed. My goal is to try to get a beast removed a turn. Really with this is, good thing is, again, I get focus out because of power up, and then with Siege I'm going to be giving out more focus, 1C, each of those 3 to the 2 defenders and Triumph. Then be giving 1 more out to the Charger. And then really with this turn, I need to push models away from scenario. So one thing with this, again, it's looking at my control area. I'm very concerned with Lanyssa. Lanyssa is someone that I need to be concerned of. She has a 16-inch potential threat. Once Marked Target gets out, those pigs can charge up to 13 inches. So I need to really start finding a fine line between getting rid of Lanyssa as soon as possible and also making sure that I'm not close enough to get charged. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Is I'm taking a look at what Siege's maximum range is, seeing how far out he can walk out to the 16 inches plus, the 6 inches plus 14 of his gun. It's a total of 18 inches. And just looking at it, Lanyssa is, I think, 1/4 of an inch out. So just far enough to where I cannot hit her. And one of the issues that is I should have been more aggressive with Siege from the beginning, moving up a lot further. Yep, that's really the big thing with Siege. So playing him a little bit too cautious the first turn stopped me from being able to remove a huge threat from that side of the table. So right now I'm just looking at what my focus is. I have the 6 focus. I'm going to be giving a focus point to, like I said, each of those jacks. Jake's is going to be loading up Dynamo. Really just because I'm determined to remove that Roadhog that's closest to me. I think I have a really good shot at doing it. He is in cover and he does have batten down hatches, but I still think that I'll be okay. So first I'm going to activate Dynamo. He is within range. It's only a range 10, but he's still good. And I'm going to start my shots. So some of the other things with the list, like I said before, I really like the idea of playing a range heavy list. With Siege through Mark II, it's something I've kind of always done. My kind of thought is I wonder if playing a more melee centric in Mark III with Siege could be a good idea. Range wise, we still have really good range attacks. The defenders become very cheap. Triumph is absolutely amazing. Just his ability to shield guard, his second shot he gets, and his being able to see through stealth when he's with Siege, he gets an AoE 3, all very good stuff, all helps him out. But I'm thinking with as my list evolves, is looking at doing something more with Storm Lances, and also even having a Costa out there. So as you can see, one of the defenders he activates, he's going to take a shot, he's going to boost attack and the damage roll. And that's kind of really what all of the defenders and Triumph is going to be doing, as well as the Charger. Again, the goal is to remove that Warhog. So another thing with this list, I like the idea of having the gun mages in the list because I like the ability to push back. One downside with the gun mages is not being able to see through stealth. Obviously this really doesn't have that effect on this game at all because nothing here is stealth. But I'm also a little sad at their -1 to their defense. That does hurt just a little bit. It sounds goofy, but the defense really does make a difference. So right here I'm just measuring with Siege again just to make sure that she is without, and I've tried every which way possible and just no way to get her in, so makes me again very concerned for her. So just going through the shots. Some of the other things with this list, I think if I had to change anything, I probably wouldn't have the 3 defenders and the Charger. I might just end up dropping the Charger, dropping the Charger, possibly dropping one of the defenders, and just going with 1 defender and Triumph, and then putting in something else, because that's it's a good enough point to put in a unit that could deal with scenario coverage a little bit more. I'm just not 100% sold on the fact that a Jack heavy as this is probably the best. And one thing I said before is I would most likely drop Reinholdt and put Squire in instead. I believe this list was at 74 points, so I would have had the 1 point left over to put the Squire in, which I think in the end would have been a good idea. So a lot of the measuring I'm doing right now is I'm just looking at threat ranges, kind of seeing how far out I am, and just making sure that I'm not going to be getting charged by anything I really don't want to, just before I take my last shot. Now, one of the downsides of this is I backed up far enough away where I'm not contesting that center flag, and I don't get anything far enough to contest that far left flag. That is a poor play on my part. I want to say that's because it's probably about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I have not slept since 8 o'clock the previous day, so it's getting on 24 hours at this point. But the reality is that I should have respected the scenario a lot more than what I'm doing this turn. So as you saw, I was able to successfully remove the Warhawk, so I was pretty happy about that. And really just now with Siege kind of just looking around. With Reinholdt, he moves up. There's nothing I could really do with Reinholdt at the time, so I just had Siege move up, had Reinholdt move up. And then she walked forward. Again, probably should have moved Jake's a little bit further over to the side so I could start contesting that flag. Because at the end of his turn now, he has potential to contest 2 flags. Honestly, he can score at least on 2 of them. I do have the gun mages up there, but I probably could have moved them a little bit further to contest more of that flag. He has a lot of AoEs on that side, set up very well to really counter what my gun mage can do. They have the defense 14 but only armor 11, so they're paper. The other thing with this turn, I was really debating whether or not to pop my feet, but at the end I just could not get enough stuff in range. I could only get 2 of them in range, and I wasn't sure if getting only 2 of them in range was worth it.
So as we're all kind of afraid of, the gun line is real. He took one of my heavies right off the table and didn't even need to use Siege's feet to do it, which is very, very upsetting. I am very unhappy with PolarBearCub, and we're going to make him pay for it. Because one of the things that people always talk about balancing out gun lines is scenario. And this is a very nice scenario for me because 1, it's going to force him closer to me. 2, it's nice and spread out so he can't really brick up. And 3, he's really not contesting any of them because he was just relying on his guns to blast me to pieces. So we're going to try to cripple some things. So the Freak move up, he shoots at that defender because I don't want to mess with Jake's and Dynamo there. And fortunately he rolls Snake Eyes, all according to plan. So the second Efaarit moves up and he shoots that same defender and he rolls a 3, so he misses as well. It's an excellent use of my 12 points. Alten Ashley's going to run on over, and he's going to grab that second flag. So now I'm on 2 out of the 3 flags. And now I just need to take care of 1 meddlesome gun mage, and I'll be able to score 3 CP on this turn. Aggressively speaking, I can't really do much to close the distance with him. I'm just going to end up having to hunker down, batten down the hatches, and hide behind my terrain piece there. It's just the distances aren't quite there, even with Lanyssa Ryssyl providing me with that extra 2 inches, and then you have the extra 2 inches from Carver's spell mobility. It's just not quite there. So, but the gun boar moves up. He goes ahead and he blasts away that gun mage. He's got the POW 10 high explosive, so even the blast damage kills him automatically. Very, very good upgrades for the gun boar. They've become significantly better in this new edition. It's actually kind of crazy. We get the Splatter Boar moving up. He's just gonna do some shots as well. Now we're just gonna deviate from there. And then he is gonna put up his Animus, make sure we put up the Animus on that second gun boar. So the deviation goes, it scatters very nicely, and I get a POW 6 corrosion on that gun mage. We boost the damage, it's just Fury, why not? So kill some more gun mages. The idea behind putting Lucky Shot on that other gun boar was I want him to walk on up and shoot that nice little clump there. And now he's Rat 7, he's going to go ahead and boost to hit, so that way he's definitely very likely to hit those high defense models, and then the POW 10s just wipe him out. POW 13 on the initial target. So doing a lot to just kind of clear out the gun mages so that way they cannot contest, or they cannot really push me off that flag there. So that proxy base there is marking where the Warhog is. I'm just kind of putting the model up there. Then we got Targ, he's going to go ahead and Ancillary, another range 12 Rat 7 shot, and another dead gun mage. So, yay for me. Otherwise, Carver's just going to move around, he's going to hide behind the wall, put up batten down the hatches. So he'll be sitting at a pretty handy defense 17, armor 20, which hopefully is safe. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then otherwise we got the Battle Boar and the Warhog there. They're just kind of coming up. And the reason why the Warhogs are placed there and are positioned like so, and why I'm measuring that, is I want to have it so that if he gets within 4 inches of that flag to contest it, he's going to be in my threat range. And thanks to pre-measuring, I can check all that and be good to go.
Alright, shame on me. I clearly underestimated what he was able to do, and that just put Gaston up to 3 control points. So now I have to play a significantly more aggressive game than I did before. Good news is, Triumph activated, Triumph was able to shoot, and he was able to remove that model from the table. Good for me. One of the downsides is, if you notice the way how my army is set up, I have completely blocked Siege from being able to move out far enough to pop feet and get enough people in my feet to kill off. Because I really need to remove 2 beasts this turn. If I can remove 2 beasts, I will be perfectly set. But not having Squire and not being aggressive enough with Siege, again, it's costing me for this round again. Really, I played him far too conservatively. I really should have had him a lot further. He is a target, but he's not as big of a target as removing my jacks that would be further ahead. Kind of one of the reasons why I did move him as far back is Gaston is a very tricky individual, where a lot of times he gets those, he's very good at finding creative ways to kill your caster. And we had played a couple games beforehand with Mark II, and he was able to kill my caster in very tricky ways. So I was being a lot more conservative this game than I have in the past. And honestly, I think for last round and even for this round, not being able to get enough stuff in my feet range is really what's costing me. So with that, his War Beast was actually a little bit further back. If you see that black circle, that's where his War Beast actually was. I had asked him to kind of move it to the side because, again, it's probably 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So I was thinking that that was like a smoke cloud. So right now, I'm kind of just looking and seeing what things I can do. I'm pretty sure I can shoot enough to take out at least something. So I activate my Charger first. Charger, he's going to try to take some shots at the Battle Boar. It does a good amount of damage. 2 focus. Actually, really only giving him 1 focus is enough to boost all the attack and damage rolls for both shots. So it's really good. It's dice -4. It's dice minus a little bit more because he does have batten down hatches. It's a really good spell, and it definitely hurts. So now the Gun Mage can activate, and they're not going to be able to really do any damage. So what I'm more concerned about is pushing stuff far enough back so he can no longer control, and hopefully getting a crit so I can knock down. Crit didn't happen, but I was able to push him back a total of 4 inches, which got him far enough away to where he wasn't going to score a point. And that's really what I gotta do, is I need to move stuff up and not have things control. So I'm looking at with Siege again. I'm looking to see if I can move Siege far enough forward to get enough things in my control range to pop my feet. And it's just 18 inches. It's not far enough. Honestly, those extra 2 inches, I know I've said this 6 times already. I'm gonna say it again. Squire with him, I think, is the best choice if you're going for a ranged game and you want to pop your feet early enough to really cripple the army. So I'm looking at Alten Ashley right now. I activated the Journeyman. I activated Jake's. Jake's going to move forward. Jake's going to take a shot to try to go in there and shoot him. Did not succeed even with the 3 dice, so that kind of hurt a little bit. Right now, Siege checking. Again, that's his 18 inch, that's his maximum threat range. So that's moving up 6. Really concerning because it's getting him far enough where I could really hurt myself, and then also popping my feet. So kind of looking at this right now, one of the things I could have done is there was a couple opportunities I could have done to start gaining more control points during this turn. One of it was removing Alten Ashley potentially with Siege, and then running Jake's forward. Or from where Reinholdt was, from where Siege was standing, I could have charged forward and gotten into that one of the flags. that was probably a more dangerous move that I wouldn't have done. So, but still, running Jake's forward could have gotten me capitalized on one of the flags. So I could be up one control. Well, I could be at one control point right now. So defenders are going to activate. What I'm going to try to do is try to remove one of the Warhogs, because the Warhogs concern me. They are not like the road ones. The roadhogs, they have a lot of assaults. They scare me in the fact that they could kill my caster at range. Warhogs will do a ton of damage to you in melee. So kind of right now what I'm looking at is I should be focusing fire on one beast and mowing down as much as possible, and that's really what I'm doing. First Warjack activated, the second defender activated right now is trying to do more damage. Now Triumph is moving up, and I'm kind of looking to see where he's going to be shooting at. I know that I'm going to be getting charged next turn. I just know it's going to happen. So now it's just kind of making sure that I have enough stuff within 4 inches to hopefully not get damaged. And again, this is another thing where, hey, I could have walked my defender up and I could have shot, or could have gotten an extra control point.
So, obviously the flag towards the bottom of the screen is a pretty easy pickup for me. I've got Carver's feet, I've got all the power of the Warhogs, and I can just kind of blow through a defender and a couple gun mages, no problem. The center flag is a little bit trickier, and this is where keeping Lanyssa back really helped me out. And we're just going to go with her first. I need her to hit in order for that threat range to happen. And thankfully, she's able to hit with Hunter's Mark onto that defender there, which is going to make that entire melee plan viable. The Freak comes up, and he's just going to pop a shot at Jake's. The idea being that if, he can randomly hit her, then he can armor pierce her, and, she's not camping any focus, so maybe take her out and knock down Dynamo. He misses, which is not a big deal. He just repositions to contest. He's unfortunately not able to contest and be fully within the forest. It's like 1/8 of an inch out, so he's not going to get any benefits there. But otherwise, we're just kind of shutting down that flag and forgetting about it. It's dead to me, lost cause. So instead, we're just going to get greedy on the other 2 flags. Order of activation is a little bit of an issue. You want to have Carver go. He's got a feat, he's got a cast, mobility, or deliver things, so the question is, where do you go with first? How do you make sure that you do clear out everything you need to? So that's why we start with clearing out the gun mages. They're kind of the harder, quote-unquote, targets with defense. So we got the gun boar, he's going to walk on up, he's going to blow one away, not a problem. Then next up, just mulling through the order of activations again. Can Targ get around there? Targ has gotten a little bit awkward. He's still speed 6, but unfortunately he's only range 3 on the ancillary, so it kind of limits his options, especially when you kind of keep him behind the beast brick. So instead we have the Battle Boar go next. He's kind of another easy one. He's going to primal up the Warhog that's going to go in on those 2 defenders. Now we're just making sure that threat ranges are all good. Carver's going to go ahead, cast mobility. He's going to feat. And he's going to spend 1 leave to put lucky shots onto one of the gun boars, if I recall correctly. It's really it's difficult with both batten down the hatches and mobility costing 3. It leaves them on no transfers, and there's no fury support in minions. So then we got the Splatter Boar putting up lucky shots, so I guess Carver just kind of shed a point of fury to heal something. Next up, we kind of want to move that gun boar. He's going to want to move out of the way. We're going to want to be careful of that Splatter Boar, so that way we're not fouling up the charge lanes. Because you remember that black proxy base there is actually a Warhog. We're going to want him to go in to engage both the defender and then hopefully that light jack as well. So Splatter Boar goes, he just kind of shoots the defender that's going to get charged by the Warhog. The idea behind that was to just do a little bit of damage to it, maybe soften it up so I can kill 2 defenders with 1 Warhog. Like I said, being greedy. But now that the Splatter Boar's out of the way, Targ is able to move, and then he kills himself another Gun Mage with his ancillary attack. Can't scatter off. Take that POW 10. And now kind of that Rubik's Cube puzzle box is solving itself. There's a cloud effect from the POW 14 from the Splatter Boar. I should probably buy rings at some point, but I didn't really care enough. Then the gun board just takes another shot at Triumph, I believe that is. And he, boosts to put maybe a couple points of damage on him. Again, just so you never know when you're going to leave that Jack or that Beast alive on 1 or 2 health. This is a way of just, maybe pushing it over that little extra scale. I didn't really check to see what the statistical average was of the Warhogs killing things. So he's going on in, he's primaled, he's feeded on, he's aggression dialed, he's POW 16 base, POW 20 Weapon Master Piggy. So he's going to roll pretty solid there. I think he's dice +2 on the regular defender and like dice +1 on Triumph for straight dice because of the shield. I really don't like Triumph because he killed my Efaarit. Didn't even have to try. So very upset about that. So this is again where that 1-inch melee range comes into play a lot, helps you out a lot, where you're able to engage things that you wouldn't normally be able to engage, and it's so much nicer than ½ an inch. I can't even say, like, it looks good on paper, and then you play it on the table, you're like blown away. So went ahead, killed off both of them. So greediness galore. Then next up, we're going to have the other Warhog go on in on that other defender, and he's just going to charge regular style. I did not bother to primal him. Actually, he's just walking. I'm sorry, because of mobility. And now I'm flipping over my proxy base as my feat token. So he just walks in from mobility, he aggression dials himself to be an angry pig, and he's just going to chomp through both that defender and that little light jack. So that'll have me contesting the top flag, contesting the middle flag, and no one can get points off of that one, and then I'll control and go up to 4 control points at the end of this turn, and really have bunkered up on those flags there, and really hurting him on scenario. Obviously a very strong feat turn for me, but having that scenario to force him forward into me and put that pressure on him has helped significantly. So this is something like Line Breaker where he can just stay back.
Alright, turn 4. As you can see, I am at 2 control points and Gaston is at 4. So, if I would have moved the defender up and capitalized on one of those areas, because I knew that I was going to get charged, I could be at 3 control points. Being at 3 control points really would have helped this turn, because I could have been far enough ahead where I could have probably won the game just at the end of this. So right now I have Jake's, I have Dynamo, I have Seige, I have Reinholdt, and I have my feet. At this point, there's no way I can go over and contest the other flag. Reinholdt just doesn't have far enough speed to get up there within the 4 inches to get over there. It's just because he's just a hair too far back. Dynamo really can't move that far to shoot anything over there because he only has speed 5, range 10 gun. Jake's can't get over there either. And then that Warhog is within 4 inches, close enough to where I could probably go and at least kill him. So I figured with anything, I still have my feet, so I can go do something. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at potentials if I could possibly kill Carver. I'm looking at the threat range of what Dynamo can do, what Jake's can do, and then also what Seige can do. So Jake's going to go first. I try to just take a pot shot at Carver, and I don't do anything at all. So he's camping on 2 Fury right now, I believe. And unfortunately, just there's nothing really I can do at this point to hurt him. So I'm thinking of my options, and really at this point, my option is that I'm gonna kill that Efaarit Scout. Make sure he can't get close enough, so it's gonna bring me up to at least 3 control points. Then also at the very end, the only thing I can really do now is Seige can go in and go kill a Warhawk, because why not, right? So activate Seige. I'm going to be popping my feet because I know this is the last round, and Seige takes a charge and goes and knocks on that Warhawk. So I have to roll I'm a 7, I believe, 6 or 7. I have to roll a 4 or 5 to hit him. So I'm just rolling the 2 dice. I hit it. I popped my feet, so I'm dice plus ridiculous. I get 3 dice, and I'm doing 20 damage on him in 1 turn. So very, very happy about that. It was dice plus 5, I believe. So, and I rolled 3 5s, so I did 20 damage. And then I'm just going to start buying attacks, because at the end of the day, I'm at least going to kill him. So unfortunately with that, there's really nothing else I could do. Both of us are going to be at 5 control points at the end of this, but next turn, he's going to be able to get stuff. He's going to be able to get Lanyssa over to the side with Dynamo, and he's going to be able to capitalize again on another control point. So he's going to be able to get enough control, and he can contest mine. So that's the end of mine. Alright, so afterthoughts. I should have respected the scenario. If I would have looked at the scenario, I could have capitalized on a lot earlier, and in the end I could have honestly scored more points. I could have won this on scenario. That was my fault. So please learn from me, Swans. Learn from me if you don't play Swans. Look at the scenario all the time. The scenario is the most important thing, because that's the one thing that if you have a gun advantage, doesn't matter, because you can have all the guns in the world. If they can capitalize the scenario, they're going to beat you. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Have fun.